Shalom. On go praises on the glory to Yahweh, Shemon Shai, Shemon Kakadash, and the God of the elders and apostles of great Muslim to the truth, and peace, blessing, and citation to the whole fullness. I forgot to say what this was. It's the reality of civil war. It's coming to America, also known as Babylon the Great.
Y'all go on and on about how you can't wait for the collapse of this country and how you can't wait for the revolution and the civil war and all this other shit. And people be saying this on both sides of the political spectrum. It just shows how sheltered we are as a nation and how most of y'all don't study civil wars in other countries. Even though I know historically every great dynasty goes through it, I pray that I am not alive to see this country go through a civil war. Another one. When it comes to Americans, we talk from a very privileged place.
Hmm. Oh, that's scripture cool. The scripture is cool. I've forgotten what it's called, man. Oh, there's this one. The famine stand still. It's second Esdras 6:24. It says, "At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein." And so the springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So yeah, and even that's going into the power not working as well, because obviously the people deal with hydroelectricity, which they use water to make the energy. So if the water doesn't run, that means that means look at the time. 3:44. So yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, the hydroelectricity. It's what's it called again? I forgot what it's called. um, yeah. Get the hydroelectricity. Like I said, yeah, like I said, they're going to stand still, and if the water doesn't run, that means no electricity, and no electricity means what are the people gonna do? But as it says at the top, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Oh yeah, and then they also got Second Esdras 15. Yeah, Second Esdras 15 and 14 says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, with swords in their hands, and not going into civil war. As it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and uprising, and invading one another, yea, going into people's houses. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. So yeah, they're not gonna care what the president has to say, the prime minister has to say, the mayors. They're not gonna care about any of that. It's just on the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So yeah, in that time, in that time, the people are gonna be, what's the word? No, honestly, it's gonna look crazy. The people are gonna be crazy in that day, doing what they want, not caring about the politicians or the things that they say. And even then, that's what the gram next, the politicians or the princes or the kings. They can get gram next. So it's just, now let me continue.
When it comes to wars, because we have not had a boots on the ground war fought on our soil since the Civil War. And if we ever did have a civil war, it would probably mimic that of Yugoslavia, Libya, or Libya. You would have a left spectrum and a right spectrum. And on both sides of those spectrums, not only would they be fighting left versus right, but there would be so much infighting within groups on the same side of the political spectrum that you would have all these different mini militias. And also remember, if a civil war is to break out in a country, that means that there has been a complete collapse of that society. You're not calling the police. The most ruthless, the most deprived people will win. Neighborhoods will be turned into mass graves. The body parts of hundreds of dead women and children would be littered in the streets like
Yes, 9 and 15. It said, I said before, and now do you speak, and will speak it also hereafter. Now there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved. So yeah, a whole lot of people are going down, and that's because of the very things that they've done in this earth.
yesterday's garbage. There would be food deserts. Hospitals would shut down. The children would have it the worst. Young boys would be forced by militias to fight. Some of them would be forced to kill their own parent. Go look up the civil wars in Sierra Leone and Liberia. Horrible, horrific acts of SA would be committed with no one there to stop it. Out in the open. Some militias might even force young boys to essay their own family members just to mentally break them and to corrupt their minds. Because if you could kill your own parents and you can essay your own mother, you will do anything. That is the reality of civil war. Imagine what we are reading in the Epstein files. It would be that times probably 40 on a daily basis. And usually after a revolution or some type of government overhaul or civil war, once the smoke is cleared, there's going to be some charismatic leader who rises up and uses their power and influence to snuff out all their political rivals and lead the country into more wars, just like Napoleon.
So those ones, like this is a short lesson. We all know that civil war's coming, especially over there in America. But yeah, the Lord said the people are gonna fight. And even then, And it says, Zechariah 15 and 17, it says, a man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. Yeah, imagine just like The Last of Us, there was these different factions that were set up. And if you didn't agree with one another, you wouldn't know what would happen. And they would fight and end up action after other people, man, that don't want to join them. That's basically what happened, man. Over there in what's it called, in The Last of Us. These games basically show the very things that are going to happen in this earth, man. Like you could say these games are going to come to life. And verse 18 says, because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So yeah, as it says, man, men shall be afraid. And it's kind of crazy because there's obviously these women that think Babylon is just going to last forever. They don't consider the fact of martial law. Not even martial law. What sort of a word, man? I forgot what the other one's called, man. Um, yeah, civil war. Yeah, that's it. And those things are gonna happen, man. And if it says the men are going to be afraid, then how much for the women? And then it says a man shall have no. Okay, relax, man. You guys are telling me you got a low battery. Battery just be draining out. Definitely have to put it on charge when I. I guess I'm gonna have to put it on charge when I go to my room. But as it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Is the lack of bread being the famine, which means there's basically not a lot of food to basically go out. So people are going to be fighting for the food as well. And I'm saying this is for great tribulation. Going to just imagine that famine, civil war, martial law all happening at the same time. People are gonna be scared, man. But it's one of those ones, man. Although it's edifying, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shema Shai, Shema Kakadash, and Shalom.